The galaxy had forgotten what hope felt like. For 1,000 years, the Velkarth Empire ruled with cold, brutal force. Their ships, black as night and shaped like ancient blades, moved across star systems like storms. Where they appeared, death followed. Planets surrendered before the first shot. Those who didn't were turned to ash. No one dared resist. The other alien races hid, begged, or obeyed. No one challenged the Velkarth. Not in centuries. They were more than just powerful. They were cruel. The Velkarth believed fear was the best way to keep order. They took what they wanted. They burned worlds to send messages. They erased entire cultures. They turned free species into slaves. Their rule was called the Silence, because when they were done with a planet, no voices remained. On the outer rim of the galaxy, a small planet named Rethax tried to resist. It was a brave but foolish act. The Velkarth arrived with 6 battle cruisers. Within 1 hour, Rethax's cities were smoking ruins. Their leaders were executed in public. Their sun was blocked by an orbiting warship, just to show the people that the Velkarth could even steal their light. It was not a war. It was a warning. From orbit, Commander Rakal of the Velkarth watched the destruction with cold eyes. He stood, tall, his body wrapped in dark armor, his face sharp like a dagger. Around him, Velkarth officers stood silent. No one dared speak unless he ordered. He looked at the burning world below and said, "Another example. Let the others remember." But something strange happened during the final sweep of Rethax's system. A small probe, metal and round, floated near the edge of space. It had no weapons. It had no defense. But it was not made by Rethax. Its signal was unknown. It transmitted in a language the Velkarth did not recognize. The officers laughed. "Primitive," one said. "It must be a lost toy from some forgotten race." Commander Rakal frowned. "Send a scan." The scan came back seconds later. Strange symbols, English, coordinates, and then silence. The probe exploded, but not from attack. It self-destructed after sending its message. Rakal's eyes narrowed. "Find where it came from." That was when Earth was discovered. Humanity had never joined the Galactic Council. Most species didn't even know Earth existed. It was small, isolated, a death world hidden behind several uncharted star systems. It had no embassies, no galactic influence. But that small probe, it was proof that someone was watching. Back on Earth, in a deep bunker beneath the Andes Mountains, alarms rang. The probe had sent its last message. A screen blinked with one red word: contact. General Morgan stood in front of a wall of data. Around him, scientists and analysts worked in silence. They had been tracking alien signals for years. Ever since the Voyager beacon picked up strange whispers beyond Pluto, Earth's secret defense, teams had been preparing, quietly, carefully, without making noise. "Do we know who they are?" Morgan asked. "No names, sir," a tech replied. "But their ships match the burned records from 2 extinct species. We think it's the same empire, same attackers." "Are they coming?" "Maybe not yet. But they saw our probe, and we saw them." Morgan turned to the world map behind him. Lights blinked across every major continent. Earth wasn't ready for full war, not yet, but it was no longer blind. Humanity had always feared an invasion from the stars. Now they had a face for that fear. In space, the Velkarth continued their conquest. But a seed of doubt had been planted. They had ruled for so long, they believed no one could challenge them. They didn't know humans. They didn't know about Earth's history of war, survival, and stubbornness. They didn't know that humans had evolved on a planet full of danger, where weakness meant death. They didn't know what kind of species grows in fire and pain and smiles through it. On a small moon near Velkarth territory, a message from a dying Rethax general played on repeat. He had sent it in secret before their fall. The words were, broken, weak, but clear. To whoever finds this, we resisted. We failed. But listen, don't trust the shadows. They are watching. They feed on fear. And if there's anyone out there, any race strong enough to fight, please, don't wait until it's your turn. That message reached Earth 2 weeks later, and humans listened. At night, above the clouds of Earth, secret satellites turned toward unknown stars. Stealth ships were activated, defense systems powered on, and somewhere beneath the oceans, a dark shape moved. Project Sentinel, Earth's final defense, was no longer sleeping. The Velkarth didn't know it yet, but their silence was about to be broken. Not with fear, not with surrender, with fire. The Velkarth Empire did not believe in fear. They believed in control. But now, something had changed. A small, unknown probe had scanned one of their ships and destroyed itself afterward. That act, though small, was strange, curious, suspicious, and the Velkarth never ignored the unknown. Commander Rakal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Void Rain, looking at a large screen. It showed the path of the strange probe, tracing it back toward the Sol system, a quiet, unclaimed zone at the edge of the galaxy. His officers waited for his decision. "Send a scout ship," he said. "If something hides in that system, I want to know what it is." A few days later, a Velkarth scout vessel entered the Sol system. It moved quietly, cloaked in shadows, invisible to most eyes. It passed by the gas giants without stopping. Then it reached the third planet from the sun, Earth. From orbit, Earth looked harmless, blue, green, peaceful. The Velkarth crew laughed when they saw old radio signals and satellite broadcasts. "This world is primitive," one officer said. "They use sound to talk and still burn fuel to fly." They didn't know Earth was watching. Without warning, the Velkarth ship's systems blinked. Lights turned red. The screen flashed. "Warning! System breach!" The crew shouted, trying to regain control. But it was too late. From the dark side of the moon, a small object moved. Fast, silent. It was Earth's defense satellite, Sentinel-12. Built for one purpose, to guard the planet from threats like this. It locked onto the Velkarth scout ship and fired a burst of high-frequency energy. Within seconds, the scout ship's weapons and engines were dead. A message appeared on every screen inside the Velkarth ship. It was short, calm, human. "You are not welcome here. Turn back." Back on Earth, General Morgan sat in a command room deep under the surface. He watched the enemy ship drift, powerless, above the Earth. "Should we destroy it?" his second-in-command asked. Morgan shook his head. "Not yet. Let them go back. Let them tell their empire what they found." He knew fear was a powerful weapon, but surprise was even stronger. The Velkarth crew panicked. They had never been defeated by a single satellite. They had never seen a system hacked so fast. They tried to restart their engines. It took them hours just to escape Earth's orbit. When they jumped back to their empire, they carried more than just data. They carried fear. Back on the Void Rain, Commander Rakal read the report in silence. The words on the screen made no sense. Earth was not on any of their star maps. It had no known fleets, no colonies. But this planet had stopped their scout ship like it was nothing. "What kind of species does this?" one officer asked quietly. Rakal didn't answer. But deep inside, a cold feeling grew. He didn't like mysteries, and Earth was becoming one. Meanwhile, the United Earth Council met in a hidden chamber in Geneva. Leaders from every nation sat in a round room, listening as General Morgan explained the situation. "They were testing us," he said. "They thought we were weak. Now they know we're not blind." "Can we win against them?" someone asked. Morgan didn't answer right away. Then he said, "We don't need to win. We just need to make them bleed." A scientist stood and showed the message Earth had received from the dying Rethax general, the warning about the Velkarth. The council voted without debate. The message was clear. Earth would not wait to be attacked. In space, Earth's defense systems powered up. Old weapons were upgraded. New ones were built in secret. The moon's far side became a construction site. Mars bases were turned into forward outposts. And far beneath the oceans, deep in silence, humanity's darkest project came online, Project Goliath. It was not a ship. It was not a missile. It was something new, something terrible, something human. Back in Velkarth space, many did not believe the report. Some mocked it. A single probe? A single satellite? Are we afraid of children now? But others remembered something ancient, rumors of a world where life was hard, where predators ruled, and where the species that climbed to the top didn't do it with peace. A planet called Earth. Commander Rakal stood in the war chamber listening to his leaders argue. He looked at the data. He remembered the cold voice that told his scout to turn back. Not angry, not emotional, just calm. Like a threat waiting to happen, he made his choice. Prepare a fleet, he said. Let's see what these humans really are. And on Earth, humans watched the stars. They saw the movement, they heard the silence, and they smiled. The stars were quiet, but the silence meant war. Above the surface of Mars, 3 human warships floated in a tight triangle. Painted black and lined with hidden weapons, they didn't look like much from a distance. But they weren't made to look strong. They were made to be strong. Inside the lead ship, HSS Revenant, Captain Ilara Singh watched the screen as dozens of red marks appeared. Enemy ships. Velkarth. They're coming, her officer whispered. Ilara didn't blink. Then we give them a welcome. Thousands of kilometers away, the Velkarth fleet entered the system with no fear. 20 warships. Fast, heavy, deadly. Commander Rakal stood at the front of his battlecruiser, his cold eyes locked on Earth's direction. He didn't send a warning. He didn't ask for peace. He came to conquer. This planet hides behind shadows, he said. Burn them out. But as they neared Mars, the Velkarth ships suddenly slowed. Something was wrong. The system was full of static, false signals, jamming fields. Every scanner showed the same strange message. You are not alone. Then, the Revenant attacked. From behind Mars's moon, the 3 human warships launched. They moved like sharks, silent, fast, lethal. They weren't large like Velkarth ships, but they were smarter, made for ambush, not parade. Within the first few seconds, 2 Velkarth scout ships were gone, cut in half by plasma lances. No warning, no mercy. On board the Velkarth flagship, alarms rang. We're under attack! From where? Rakal shouted. They're everywhere. More explosions, more screaming. And still, they couldn't find where the attacks were coming from. Ilara watched calmly. Her voice was cold. Target their engines. Leave some alive. Let them feel it. Her ships moved in and out of the shadows, hitting hard, then vanishing. The Velkarth ships were built to fight head-on, but this wasn't a war. This was a hunt, and humans were the hunters now. The battle lasted only 12 minutes. When it ended, 5 Velkarth ships were destroyed. 3 were disabled. The rest were retreating, engines smoking, systems damaged. It was the worst defeat in Velkarth history, not because of how many they lost, but because of who they lost to. Commander Rakal sat on the floor of his war room, blood on his face, one arm broken. His officers were silent. He looked at the data again. 3 ships. Just 3. How can this be? He whispered. How did they do this? The answer was simple. The Velkarth had ruled with fear for 1,000 years. But fear doesn't work on Deathworlders, not on humans. Back on Earth, the United Council watched the battle footage in silence. General Morgan stood slowly. They've seen what we can do, he said. But that was just the beginning. A voice from the screen asked, "Will they come again?" "Oh, yes," Morgan replied. "But next time we'll be ready." In a secret base beneath Antarctica, Project Goliath reached 80% completion. The metal beast sat in a freezing hangar, its body covered in armor thicker than any ship, its core powered by something not even fully understood. Not a ship, not a mech. Something new, something terrifying. But it wasn't just technology. It was will. All across Earth, something awakened. Not panic, but unity. Humans were different. They argued, they fought, they divided. But when an outside threat came, they became one. Soldiers signed up in millions. Factories worked day and night. Old enemies shook hands. The entire planet started moving in one direction: war. The Velkarth were not used to prey that fought back. Commander Rakal, broken and humiliated, stood in front of the High Lord of the Velkarth Empire. The chamber was dark, cold, a place where even breathing felt dangerous. "You lost to 3 ships?" the High Lord growled. "They are not what we thought," Rakal replied. "They are not like the others." "Then kill them properly," the High Lord said. "No games, no scouts. Bring the full fleet." Rakal nodded. "As you command." But even as he prepared the greatest invasion in centuries, he remembered something. Those human ships didn't fight to win. They fought to hurt, to teach, and that scared him more than any weapon. On Earth, in a quiet room, Captain Alara watched. The stars. She knew they'd come again, stronger, angrier, but she wasn't afraid, because now they were ready too. And the next time the Velkarth knocked on Earth's door, humanity would answer. The stars were quiet, but the silence meant war. Above the surface of Mars, 3 human warships floated in a tight triangle. Painted black and lined with hidden weapons, they didn't look like much from a distance. But they weren't made to look strong. They were made to be strong. Inside the lead ship, HSS Revenant, Captain Alara Singh watched the screen as dozens of red marks appeared. Enemy ships. Velkarth. "They're coming," her officer whispered. Alara didn't blink. "Then we give them a welcome." Thousands of kilometers away, the Velkarth fleet entered the system with no fear. 20 warships. Fast, heavy, deadly. Commander Rakal stood at the front of his battlecruiser, his cold eyes locked on Earth's direction. He didn't send a warning. He didn't ask for peace. He came to conquer. "This planet hides behind shadows," he said. "Burn them out." But as they neared Mars, the Velkarth ships suddenly slowed. Something was wrong. The system was full of static, false signals, jamming fields. Every scanner showed the same strange message: "You are not alone." Then, the Revenant attacked. From behind Mars's moon, the 3 human warships launched. They moved like sharks, silent, fast, lethal. They weren't large like Velkarth ships, but they were smarter, made for ambush, not parade. Within the first few seconds, 2 Velkarth scout ships were gone, cut in half by plasma lances. No warning, no mercy. On board the Velkarth flagship, alarms rang. "We're under attack!" "From where?" Rakal shouted. "They're everywhere. More explosions, more screaming." And still, they couldn't find where the attacks were coming from. Alara watched calmly. Her voice was cold. "Target their engines. Leave some alive. Let them feel it." Her ships moved in and out of the shadows, hitting hard, then vanishing. The Velkarth ships were built to fight head-on, but this wasn't a war. This was a hunt, and humans were the hunters now. The battle lasted only 12 minutes. When it ended, 5 Velkarth ships were destroyed. 3 were disabled. The rest were retreating, engines smoking, systems damaged. It was the worst defeat in Velkarth history, not because of how many they lost, but because of who they lost to. Commander Rakal sat on the floor of his war room, blood on his face, one arm broken. His officers were silent. He looked at the data again. 3 ships. Just 3. "How can this be?" he whispered. "How did they do this?" The answer was simple. The Velkarth had ruled with fear for 1,000 years. But fear doesn't work on Deathworlders. Not on humans. Back on Earth, the United Council watched the battle footage in silence. General Morgan stood slowly. "They've seen what we can do," he said. But that was just the beginning. A voice from the screen asked, "Will they come again?" "Oh yes," Morgan replied. "But next time we'll be ready." In a secret base beneath Antarctica, Project Goliath reached 80% completion. The metal beast sat in a freezing hangar, its body covered in armor thicker than any ship, its core powered by something not even fully understood. Not a ship, not a mech. Something new, something terrifying. But it wasn't just technology. It was will. All across Earth, something awakened. Not panic, but unity. Humans were different. They argued, they fought, they divided. But when an outside threat came, they became one. Soldiers signed up in millions. Factories worked day and night. Old enemies shook hands. The entire planet started moving in one direction: war. The Velkarth were not used to prey that fought back. Commander Rakal, broken and humiliated, stood in front of the High Lord of the Velkarth Empire. The chamber was dark, cold, a place where even breathing felt dangerous. "You lost to 3 ships?" the High Lord growled. "They are not what we thought," Rakal replied. "They are not like the others." "Then kill them properly," the High Lord said. "No games, no scouts. Bring the full fleet." Rakal nodded. "As you command." But even as he prepared the greatest invasion in centuries, he remembered something. Those human ships didn't fight to win. They fought to hurt, to teach, and that scared him more than any weapon. On Earth, in a quiet room, Captain Alara watched. The stars. She knew they'd come again, stronger, angrier, but she wasn't afraid, because now they were ready too. And the next time the Velkarth knocked on Earth's door, humanity would answer. The Velkarth Empire didn't wait long. Only 10 days after their defeat near Mars, their full fleet arrived. 100 warships, each larger than a city, each carrying thousands of soldiers. Their goal was clear: destroy Earth completely. No more games, no more warnings. Commander Rakal stood tall at the center of the lead ship, Deathborn. His face was cold, sharp. His last mission had failed, but this one would not. The humans had shown skill and clever tricks, but brute force would crush them. "All ships prepare for system entry," Rakal said. "Erase the planet." The fleet moved fast. They broke into the Sol system like a storm. Giant engines roared through space. Earth's outposts on the edge of the system saw them coming, but they didn't run. They reported. And Earth smiled. Inside a deep space station hidden near Jupiter, General Morgan received the signal. "They're here," said the technician. "Good," Morgan replied. "Now let's show them what we've really built." This wasn't the same Earth the Velkarth thought they had found weeks ago. In just days, humans had changed everything. Mars now had full defense cannons. The Moon had stealth, hangars, but most important of all, Project Goliath was ready. In Antarctica, beneath layers of ice, the giant machine opened its eyes. Its body was black metal and thick armor. Its heart was a quantum core, something no other species had ever seen. But it wasn't just power. It was rage. Human rage turned into steel. Earth launched Goliath into orbit. The Velkarth Empire was quiet. Too quiet. After their second defeat, they vanished from human sensors. No ships, no transmissions, no attacks. It was like they had disappeared into the dark, but humans knew better. Silence was just the start of something worse. On board the HSS Revenant, Captain Ilara stared at the black space beyond the stars. Her eyes were tired but sharp. She had fought 2 battles against the Velkarth and won, but she wasn't celebrating. "Something's coming," she said, "and this time, it won't be a fleet." She was right. In the shadows of dead stars, far beyond the edge of known space, the Velkarth were building something new. A weapon. A living ship made from bone, metal, and dark science. It didn't need a crew. It didn't need fuel. It fed on energy. It hunted like a beast and moved like a ghost. They called it Oblivion Fang. It was made to do one thing: end Earth in a single strike. While Earth waited and watched, the Velkarth unleashed the Fang. It entered the Sol system without being seen. No lights, no engines. It rode the gravity of moons and planets like waves, quiet and invisible. It passed through Saturn, then Jupiter, leaving behind nothing but damaged satellites and dead signals. In Earth's command room, General Morgan stood over a table of red alerts. "Something's wrong," he said. "We've lost contact with 9 outposts. No explosions. Just gone." Captain Ilara joined the call. "You think they've sent something new?" "I don't think," Morgan said. "I know." He tapped a button. A faint signal flickered on screen. Not a ship, not a fleet, but something alive. Its shape kept changing. Its signal pulsed like a heartbeat. It was heading straight for Earth. Ilara's face turned serious. "Is Goliath ready?" "Repaired and rearmed," Morgan said. "But this enemy is different. It's not here to fight. It's here to destroy everything." Goliath was launched once again. High above Earth, the massive black war machine waited. This time, it didn't hide. It stood openly between the planet and the unknown. Then the stars shifted. The Fang had arrived. It didn't roar. It didn't glow. It simply appeared. 1 second, space was empty. The next, a giant shadow covered Earth's sky. People across the world looked up in fear. "Is that a ship?" a child asked. "No," his mother whispered. "That's a monster." The Oblivion Fang opened its mouth. Not a mouth of teeth, but of pure energy. A black hole formed at its center, ready to fire a death beam that could erase cities. In seconds. Then Goliath moved. The machine launched forward like a missile, striking the Fang before it could fire. The sky lit up with energy. Earth trembled from the impact. The 2 giants clashed in orbit, metal versus horror, machine versus living weapon. The Fang fought dirty. It used gravity to bend space. It fired acid bursts that melted steel. It grew claws from nothing. Goliath's armor cracked, but it kept pushing forward. Blow after blow, punch after punch. Captain Ilara watched from the Revenant. "Goliath can't hold much longer." "We need backup," Morgan said. "Launch the Valkyries." 4 new human warframes, fast, deadly, designed for space combat, shot into orbit. They weren't as big as Goliath, but they were faster. Smarter. They attacked from every side, cutting into the Fang's flesh with laser blades and rail guns. For the first time, the Fang screamed. It turned wildly, lashing out. It caught one Valkyrie in its claws and crushed it, but the others didn't stop. Humans never stopped. Then Goliath delivered the final hit. He pulled all power to his core. His chest glowed blue. One final beam shot out, blasting straight through the Fang's center. The monster's body cracked, then shattered into black dust. Silence. Earth was safe. For now, but no one cheered, because something strange happened. The dust from the Fang didn't vanish. It drifted toward deep space, as if it was retreating, as if it was reporting back. Captain Ilara looked at the remains and said, "That wasn't their last move. It was a test." General Morgan nodded. "And now, They know what it takes to break us. Ilara frowned. So what will they do now? Morgan stared at the stars. They'll send something worse. Something ancient. I've read the old alien records. The Velkarth don't give up. When brute force fails, they awaken their oldest secret. Ilara's voice dropped. What secret? Morgan looked directly into the camera. They have a god, and somewhere, far beyond the edge of the galaxy, that ancient power opened its eyes for the first time in 1,000 years. It heard the call of war. It smelled human defiance. And it smiled. As the Velkarth ships crossed Saturn's rings, their sensors picked up a signal. One. Just one object. Not a fleet, not an army, just a single massive unit moving fast from Earth's orbit. Commander Rakal frowned. What is that? It's not a ship, his officer replied. It's something else. Then the signal vanished, cloaked, invisible. Seconds later, the last Velkarth scout ship exploded. No warning, no sound, just gone. That was Goliath's. Hello. Rakal felt uneasy. Raise shields. Full alert. All ships prepare for combat. But they didn't know where the attack had come from. Their sensors were useless. Something was hunting them, and they couldn't see it. Then Goliath appeared again, this time right above their rear line. One punch from its energy cannon shattered a heavy cruiser in one hit. Not just destroyed, vaporized. The ship's remains didn't even reach the nearest moon. Return fire, Rakal shouted. Dozens of ships fired everything they had, plasma blasts, missiles, high-speed charges. But by the time the weapons reached the target, Goliath was already gone. It reappeared behind another ship, another punch, another kill. The Velkarth were not fighting a machine. They were fighting a ghost. In Earth's orbit, Captain Ilara watched the battle feeds. Goliath's working better than expected, she said with a cold smile. They can't touch him. General Morgan appeared on screen. Don't let your guard down. These aren't cowards. They'll strike hard once they're cornered. Che was right. Rakal realized that normal tactics would fail. So he changed everything. Break formation, he shouted. Trap the ghost. He spread his ships out. Small groups, bait. He hoped to corner Goliath by predicting its strikes. And finally, it worked. Goliath attacked a bait ship and got surrounded. All weapons, fire now. Hundreds of beams and torpedoes hit Goliath directly. Smoke covered the scene. Silence followed. Rakal stepped forward. Is it destroyed? No, whispered the weapons officer. It's still standing. The smoke cleared. Goliath was damaged, burned, scratched, but still there, still moving, and now angry. Its eyes glowed red. Then it attacked like no one expected. Not from outside, but inside. Microbots, tiny human drones, entered the Velkarth ships through the holes made in battle. They swarmed through systems, cut wires, shut off engines. On 10 ships, the lights died at once. Crews screamed as their weapons failed. Their air systems failed. Their gravity shut off. Then Goliath tore them apart. This was no longer war. This was punishment. Rakal watched in horror as nearly half of his fleet vanished within minutes. These humans were not fighting for territory. They were fighting for survival. And they were good at it. Retreat, he whispered. What? His officer asked. Retreat, Rakal said louder. We're not ready for this. They're monsters. The remaining Velkarth ships turned away, engines roaring as they fled the system. Back on Earth, cheers erupted, but General Morgan didn't smile. This was just round 1, he said. They'll return, stronger, angrier, but now they know what we are. Captain Ilara nodded. And what are we, sir? Morgan looked at the stars. We're the nightmare they never expected. Far across the stars, beyond known space, the Velkarth Empire stood before their last hope. They had tried warships, they had tried beasts, they had tried fear, but nothing stopped the humans. Now they turned to something they had sealed away long ago. A being too dangerous, even for them. A creature of power and madness, half god, half machine. They called it Zarzul. Trapped inside a starless prison, Zarzul had been sleeping for over 1,000 years. But the Velkarth were desperate, so they opened the vault. When the locks broke and the seal cracked, the galaxy shook. A scream echoed through subspace. Planets on the edge of Velkarth space lost power. Lights dimmed, ships drifted, and deep in the darkness, Zarzul awoke. Its voice was not spoken. It was felt. "You fear the humans," it whispered. "Let me show you how fear truly feels." The Velkarth bowed. Even their great warlords didn't dare look up. They didn't control Zarzul, they unleashed it. Back on Earth, humanity watched the stars closely. Something had changed. Space itself felt different, darker, heavier. Captain Ilara stood aboard the Revenant. Her eyes narrowed. "Something's coming," she said. General Morgan responded, on screen. "We've detected strange waves, time distortion, gravity shifts. Our deep probes are failing." "Could it be another weapon?" she asked. Morgan shook his head. "This is no weapon. This is ancient." Just then, all human ships in the outer system received the same message. Not from Earth, not from Velkarth, from something else. Humanity. You shine bright, but all light burns. The message came without signal, no frequency, no trace. It just appeared. And the very next second, Earth's solar defense grid began to fail. Satellites shut down. Orbiting cannons stopped moving. AI cores went silent. It was like someone reached into the system and touched its soul. Then it arrived. Not a ship, not a fleet, a presence. Zarzul. Its form twisted space around it. From far away, it looked like a star. But stars didn't move like this. Stars didn't breathe. Its body was shifting, like smoke and metal had fused into something alive. And Earth could do nothing but watch, until Goliath stood up again. He had been in repair, still damaged from the last battle. But the moment Zarzul appeared, Goliath activated on his own. No commands, no orders. Captain Ilara stared as his systems lit up. "He's reacting." General Morgan nodded slowly. "He knows this enemy is different. He's not just a weapon now. He's something more." Goliath launched without permission. Alone. He flew fast, cutting through the stars toward the threat. The humans held their breath, and then they saw it. Zarzul reached toward Goliath, not with a hand, but with thought. Goliath froze in mid-space, like time had stopped. Then Zarzul spoke again. "You are made from rage, but I am made from the void." Goliath's systems glitched. His power flickered. The machine, strong, proud, nearly unbeatable, was breaking under the pressure of a voice older than stars. Captain Ilara slammed her fist on the console. "We have to help him!" Morgan's voice came back, calm but firm. "We can't. Not with weapons. Not with ships. This enemy doesn't fight with fire. It fights with fear." Then something unexpected happened. Across the world, humans saw Goliath's image on every screen, every city, every outpost. But not as a machine. They saw his memory. They saw the people who built him, the soldiers who died to protect Earth, the children who believed in him. They saw every reason why Goliath existed, and Earth did something no other species had ever done before. They didn't run. They connected. From space stations to schools, from bunkers to orbiters, humans sent their thoughts, their hope, their fire. They sent it into space, into Goliath. And he rose again. Not by power, by will. His armor glowed, not with energy, but with human spirit. It wasn't just tech anymore. It was everything Earth had become. Zarzul flinched. For the first time in 1,000 years, the god weapon felt something strange. Doubt. Goliath moved. Free. He punched through the grip of fear, and when he hit Zarzul, it wasn't just metal on metal. It was every human scream turned into strength. The battle shook the stars. Zarzul roared, spreading darkness. Goliath answered, lighting up the void. They fought in silence, in violence, in glory, and the galaxy watched. On Velkarth homeworld, the leaders panicked. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. Zarzul was their last card, their god. But the god was losing, and Earth wasn't afraid anymore. As the two giants clashed in space, one thing became clear. The age of fear was ending, and something stronger was taking its place. The will of humanity. In the cold silence of space, the battle between Goliath and Zarzul raged on. One was a machine powered by the will of billions. The other, a dark god from before the stars, were born. They clashed again and again, shaking moons, splitting asteroid belts, ripping holes in space itself. Each hit from Zarzul brought nightmares. Each strike from Goliath brought light. Earth watched. Velkarth watched. And the galaxy held its breath. Zarzul was not just a weapon. He was the end of hope. His touch brought madness. He whispered into the minds of weak soldiers, turning them against each other. Whole alien fleets near the battle zone vanished without firing a shot. Some self-destructed, others simply stopped moving. But Goliath moved forward, even damaged, even cracked. He refused to stop. Inside the Earth command room, General Morgan stood tall. "Keep sending power. Keep the signal strong. He's not just fighting for us. He is us." Captain Alara gripped the console. "He's reaching his limit." Outside, in the black sea of space, Zarzul grew larger, more unstable. His form was changing. Tentacles of gravity, wings of fire, a face that turned inside out. His voice echoed through all systems. "You are alone, humans. Your fire will fade. All things do." But then something unexpected happened. Other species, those once afraid of Earth, joined the broadcast. Not with weapons, with memory. The Iraq sent a song of survival. The Torvans sent their stories of human rescue ships. The Mir, who had once fled in fear, sent their thanks for being spared in battle. The galaxy had seen humanity, and it chose to stand beside them. Goliath absorbed it all. Not power, but belief. And in the glow of those thoughts, his broken parts repaired. His energy rose higher than ever before. For the first time, Zarzul stepped back. Captain Alara leaned forward. "He's afraid." Goliath's chest opened, revealing a core brighter than a sun. Zarzul struck first, releasing a wave of dark matter that tore space apart. But Goliath charged through it, burning, breaking, unstoppable. He reached Zarzul's heart and drove the core straight through it. A blast of pure light exploded across space. For a moment, time froze. No sound, no movement. Then, the darkness cracked. Zarzul screamed, not in anger, but in pain, in fear. His body twisted, trying to escape, but it was too late. The god weapon exploded into ash and memory. Gone. Forever. The Velkarth Empire's last hope. Destroyed. On their homeworld, their leaders watched the feed. One tried to speak, but no words came. Another dropped his weapon. They knew it was over. Back on Earth, people cried, cheered, and shouted in joy. Screens all over the world showed Goliath floating above the planet, battered but still standing. General Morgan looked out the window. "We faced a god," he said softly, "and we didn't bow." Captain Alara smiled. "Now the galaxy knows who we are." In the weeks that followed, something strange happened. Aliens who once feared humans began to speak with them, not as enemies, as equals. The galaxy changed. The Velkarth surrendered. Their remaining ships dropped their weapons and sent a message. We end our war. We cannot stand against what you've become. Earth didn't respond with more threats. They responded with a simple message. We are human. Remember that. Goliath was placed in orbit, not as a weapon, but as a reminder, a guardian watching silently. His story was shared across the stars. Not just the story of a machine, but the story of a species who refused to kneel. In the last scene, far beyond the stars, a child from another world looked up at the night sky. "Is it true?" she asked. "Humans beat a god." Her father smiled gently. "Yes, not because they were the strongest, but because they never gave up." And as new stars rose in the sky, one truth remained clear. The reign of terror was broken. Humanity had knocked on their orbit, and the galaxy would never forget the answer. The age of fear was over. The age of humans had begun.